Dunbarton Board of Selectmen meeting to order for Thursday, January 30th. All three selectmen are present. Recording secretary is present, town administrator is present. Recording for the citizens of Dunbarton is Mr. Leo Martell. Thank you, Leo. Okay, gentlemen, we have two sets of minutes from last week. We have a non-public and a public, so I'd go with the main minutes if you would, be so kind.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 7 PM regular meeting minutes from January, that'd be nice, huh? January 23rd, 2000, as amended.
I'll second
So it's a
that motion.
change.
Do we have any discussion on those? Okay, all in favor then?
Aye.
We have we also have a non-public here, which will not be sealed, but
I'll make a motion to approve the non-public 8:58 PM meeting minutes, January 23rd, 2020.
I'll second that. Any discussion on those minutes, gentlemen? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those are approved.
Hold that thing, start. Good pickup.
Okay, I'm gonna open up for public comment. Again, please state your name and, for the record, as we go along. I'll start in the back row.
Lee Martell, just wondering how you guys are making out with the contractor who did the roof on the, fire and, police station?
Poorly.
Not at all?
Well, I think it's the leak still persists, as I understand, so it's gonna have to be re-looked at in the spring. There was an original proposal, he thought the professional came in, thought he could fix it, but I think I'm getting reports that it's still leaking. I think Woody could attest to that. It's still leaking.
Was it just sporadic, or was it with the ice and snow melt too?
I think it's sporadic by John's record,
Which is what it was before, it was sporadic, it wasn't all the time. but-
I will ask the chief who's gonna be here tonight to comment on that, if you defer your, speculation, we'll hear it right directly from him.
Okay.
Well, I think the fire chief really is the one that watches it, cause it's in his part of the building.
Yeah, he's
right?
coming in tonight.
Oh, he is,
Yes.
okay.
he's supposed to,
Yeah.
but
That's what I meant.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Lynn?
Nope.
Okay. Sal Remino? Okay. Anything? No? Okay, I'm gonna close public comment, bring it back to the board. Do we have $350, Lean?
yes, we do.
Dave, if you'd be so kind to make a
Motion.
motion, please.
I'll make a motion per RSA 31:95-B, Roman numeral 3, paragraph B, to accept a donation in the amount of $350 from the, for raising, for wreaths across Dunbar.
Okay.
From fundraising.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Lean, you have that money, correct? There's no problem. Okay, John is not here, Linda is not here, so, do you wanna start right into the warrant articles? Without further ado, we can start talking about that.
I did say I would
You wanna call Linda down?
see if she's available, if not, then we can go this week.
Okay, we'll stand by a minute for Linda.
Woody, from what I understand, they may start your fencing next week.
Haven't heard a word.
They're supposed to give you a call, I heard.
Haven't heard anything from them or the solar company.
She just got interrupted, it's just gonna be a few more minutes, so
Okay,
we can proceed
okay.
to warrants if you'd like.
You wanna go over a few other things, because if we start the warrants.
Yeah, we might get bogged down there.
Okay.
All right, then I'm gonna go to,
Town business.
town business, or, Dan, I can talk to you, if you wanna talk, you get general discussion on a few items.
No, I'll just sit here and shut up and get a meeting, I'm sorry.
No, we have
No,
a
no,
break in our.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about me talking to Chris.
No,
I-
no, no, no.
I didn't mean to.
All right, then you can head out.
No, we were breaking the agenda, so I was
Oh,
trying to give you the
okay.
opportunity to come up and chat with us.
Sure.
So you received received
Yeah.
correspondence from him last week, but.
I brought mine with me.
You did, okay. Does everyone?
See how
have
good I was, Lee?
Anyone need a copy?
Oh, don't make one.
I have one you can look over with me.
But she does, Jen, you don't have a
Right
copy,
here.
right?
I don't think so.
I'll give you this once we're done reviewing it for your record.
Do you have the handbooks from last week?
I did.
We do, we got about 90% of them.
Is it possible for her to get it for the minutes? If you have a
Yeah,
spare
we
one,
had
if
one
not-
last week, but this is the exact same thing.
Okay.
There you go.
Alright, thank you.
And since I'm not, I'll give you these two. I'm gonna talk about changing the cruises. And this is kinda what we're looking at, so.
I don't know why we would put the phone name on them.
Yeah, I remember. Well, we're,
So if we get in trouble, the blame ball, that's all their chief, not me.
Not a bad
There was
thought.
a cruiser going yesterday morning, the lights flashing, going towards the rear, past my house.
Backing up where PD had a call.
Oh, is that what it
over
was?
on, Tuck Street.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't even remember what ours look like now.
They're blue, they're blue and they have, some gold striping down the
These
side.
look a lot more visible.
They are, and that's one of the reasons that we were looking to do that. Also, when we get a car, it's a special order. It's always a special order for the blue, and the graphics are more expensive. This way, a lot of places will have these already in stock, so they're not a special order. We don't have to worry about being manufactured and built. The graphics will basically be a wrap they're gonna put on the doors, so
And you
we'll
can
get
pull them off if you ever sell them.
black
Nice.
vehicle, white wrap, and it's all pretty quick. So that's kind of like a basic look at what it'll be. We're gonna work on the graphics and stuff like that, but essentially it kind of look like that.
Joan, cost saving measure.
It's gonna save some money, it's more visible,
Okay.
you know?
You know, I think even the town of Ware a few years back went to more visible vehicles. Because they had a lot of undercover vehicles in their fleet and stuff, and when they got a new chief, he wanted everybody to be able to, they are for public safety, so they should be able to see you. And I went by a few just this last week, and now they're starting to put letters dark, almost like a black, on a blue vehicle. You can hardly see them, and I just don't understand any reasoning behind that.
I saw a state police vehicle like that, it was a black vehicle with subdued graphics on it.
Yeah, I think they're reflective, so at night they'll show up and not so much during the day. And, now we wanna be seen.
Yeah.
So it's a change. I just stayed with what we had. When I came here, I just stayed with the color scheme that was here. And it's probably time to change, so that's what we're looking to do.
I don't have any issue.
I just want you guys to know about it, because the last thing I wanted was for a change and you not be aware that we were gonna do this.
No, if it saves money on the base vehicle,
Go for it.
It's gonna make it it'll make it a lot easier and a lot quicker.
Yeah. And the graphics are usually put on locally anyways.
Yeah, there's a company in Goffstown that we're looking at right now. They actually did the graphics on the Crown Vic, and when they called, the other day, they were getting quotes, they were telling me about it, I says, those graphics are still working, they're still attached to the vehicle, they're still in service, and they're not peeling off. Some of the graphics we got in more recent vehicles starting to peel a little bit.
Alright, so it was a testimony in
So,
itself.
yeah, so it's a good company.
Okay, you're on, what's next?
We'll talk a little later about the dog licensing and the warrants. I spoke with Linda about that, and she's expecting it later on, so we'll wait in the end if that's all right with you.
Okay.
You wanna talk about the speed signs?
Yeah, the portable speed sign came in. I was just wondering where the board wanted it set up, cause it's essentially gonna be a permanent fixture.
Well, that's
Wherever we
I'm gonna
choose.
rely on your input
Okay.
before we make a decision. So you guys know the problem areas more than us.
I'll ask you one question though. I know you've been using the portable one here and down at some of the other intersections. Is that sign all set up for the current one that you have, and is it not set up for that end of town?
So we have the bracket set up if you're heading northbound coming into the center.
Yeah,
We actually have to take that bracket off and put on a longer one to accommodate for the solar panel. It's not a huge deal. Brian Tyler and I will take care of it. I was kind of thinking, if we take the sign that the board got and put it for northbound coming into the town center, and then maybe next year, if we get another sign, we could put it coming southbound. That way, coming into the 30.
and
it'll be
meanwhile,
covered.
you can use the portable one here off and
You can
on.
rotate the portable.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Continue to rotate it as you do now.
Yeah, we actually installed, another bracket over on Twist Hill, coming from Goffstown into Dunbarton.
Well, where would you rather have it, northbound or southbound?
I think southbound to start.
Right, so this one here permanently?
Yeah, where the sign is right now.
Correct.
Yeah, we would just swap it out, put the solar panel up, and then we'd be ready to go. I just didn't wanna
I think
do it
you meant
without.
northbound, you're gonna put.
I'm sorry, northbound, yes.
Yeah.
Northbound.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, coming into the town center.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
That's where we wanted to use them on both ends of town, and you
Yeah.
already have this one being used with the other one off and on, so. There's both of those drop into town, and it's everybody's tendency to come in a little too fast, I
Yeah.
think.
If you budget for another one, we could get it this spring, get that installed. and we
They
could-
only have one portable speed sign that they've been using all
Right,
the
all
time.
around, but this eliminates, puts more time with the other one on the other locations.
Absolutely, yeah, this will, like I said, this will be essentially permanent. We'll put the solar panel up and it'll be self-sufficient.
Does this one say thank you when you go in?
I think we can program it to have a little smiley face. We haven't played around with that yet.
I
Are
laughed
you
when I saw the
serious? Are
ones
you
that
serious?
thanked us.
Oh, yeah, they have graphics and stuff.
Yeah, they come in now, Mike, when you go to the right speed, it smiles or it says thank you on there. I laugh.
I'm gonna try and customize this, keep it a secret.
Okay. So make it so.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
Annual report.
Do you want an extension?
Oh, yeah, you're on the cruise, so what we'd like to do is when we upgrade, when we get the new cruiser, we'd like to do is we'd like to keep D1 and keep that in the fleet, use as a detail car and as a spare cruiser we can use on patrol. So it would, same role as the Crown Vic is right now, just gonna go out there, it'll back us up when we need it, it'll make some money for us, when the guys that work in details and when
You're
something.
not getting much for it anyway.
No, and it's all set, ready to go. We're not using anything
So it'll
from
be
it.
parked, a lot of times it'll be parked.
Well, it'd be- yeah, let's just be in
Maybe
use for
running it.
details.
Can I make a park in front of the school?
Maybe we will.
No, but there's maybe a method to my madness there, because that was suggested by one of the, I think, school board members as a potential deterrent.
Yeah.
Just a thought, because obviously if it's gotta be used, but if it's just sitting there, put it to work.
Pretty close, you guys are pretty close to the school anyway, but I
Yeah.
don't think it would hurt.
No, both Dave and I heard you say that you were mad, because you said a method to your madness. I just want you to know when you're talking.
Okay. True.
Yeah, so anyways, if we strip it and sell it, it's not gonna be worth a lot, and with what it has, it's ready to go, and it's gonna make some money for us, so.
Okay.
I don't have any issue,
No.
I'd rather see the older ones running out these other.
So essentially, we'll run them into the ground.
Yeah, essentially, because it's not too much farther for that Crown Vic to go before it's
Right.
there.
So Joe needs another one. huh?
Yeah, we might get one more inspection.
Thing is, maybe the nicotine stains can hold it together.
You never know. Maybe we could paste filters on it.
Put it this way, any vanilla, or any white upholstery is now all yellow.
It's
Okay.
all good, it's working hard for us.
No, the thing is, I have no issue with that. I understand that it is a challenging vehicle to get into if you're a non-smoker.
Yeah, it can be.
Okay.
On the annual report, a few years ago, they started listing all the income, the pay for all the different town employees. And when it gets down to the police, it's kind of misleading, because it just shows the gross pay, but it doesn't break it down into what the town paid and what the individual officers earned through paid details. So a guy like Joe Miliotto doesn't get paid much by the town, but he works an awful lot on the outside, so his income seems, it's artificially inflated. And people from town, sometimes they get confused, they think that the town is paying them a high
I
amount
know,
of money
I
to.
know Lean isn't here, but I did talk with her about that. And, the only thing she liked about that is she was able to use that report to go to the state afterwards for the earnings that she has to list out, so it was easier for her to break it down that way. She did say that she's got stars by them and list down below that, you know, it includes the working of the details and the other things that the officers do, the training and whatnot, but
If they could split the two of them up, there'd be one on top of the other, and it shouldn't be too hard to add the two
I
together.
asked her about that
Some-
too, cause that was my
Yeah.
thought too, we could put two lines in there. And, As you know, we try and keep it concise on the town report for the printing, and she could add a whole page if we did that, because you'd be like a page and a half at that.
Did you actually get any comments, and negative comments about that?
Over the years, we had
Yeah.
some comment about it. People just, they see it and they think, because they don't understand how the process works.
Yeah,
That
but
it's an
even
outside source. of-
details still cost the town dollars. We have to pay the social security and retirement. It all goes into that system, and with wear and tear on the vehicle, wear and tear on the uniforms, wear and tear, it's hours, and so I don't wanna hide that from the public.
You're not, you're showing, what you're showing is the income of the individual officer, what they earn, above the
Yeah,
money that the officer makes for the, for
Do
the
you
town.
break that number down for Lean, or does she break the whole number down?
She includes that number, she's the one who puts that in there.
If they make the legend bold, do you think that might help, so that they know that there's a breakdown? You know, I just,
Cause if you look, there are stars by the ones that work the details and that stuff.
Yeah, I just don't understand how adding 5 lines is gonna, may add an extra half a page to the report. It would be a lot clearer, and it would, might address some hard feelings.
Let's,
I
I guess we get. Lean's input on that.
I would, if it's only like 1 or 2 people saying something, I mean, I have not heard any hard feelings about that at all. And I always look at
Do
it.
you
as-
mean more your employees' feelings or the town's feelings?
I think there's some people in town that have some hard feelings about, they think that we're paying a lot of money to an individual officer but they don't understand that that's all is coming from
Cause I'm
other
like, Mike,
towns,
I have not heard
essentially.
anything from anybody yet, as far as I know. Have you heard anything, Bob?
I haven't heard anything, no.
Well, that's our request.
I'm
for you to
wondering,
do
I'm
is what
wondering
you
if
will.
that may be incorporated in the next, cause we're getting close to, I mean, you're looking at an office that has one full-time, one part-time person working, and they're trying to get all this information ready to be published. And, there's not a whole lot of time, cause I come in here for different meetings,
Yeah.
and the lights are on in the office, and they're there just as long as the meetings last, you know, so.
I'll double check with her and see if it doesn't change the printing much, if we can add it. I don't have a problem with it, but I haven't gotten any feedback on it, so.
It's all coming from different categories, I mean, I'm assuming that there's income from different categories that has to be compiled to give you a sum.
Lean, we're talking about the breakdown of pay, so breaking out some of the details.
That's what I have generated from the 941 report, which is what I have to submit for tax purposes on
Yeah,
a weekly
this-
basis and quarterly on a paper report to the federal government. And the earnings summary comes through in a very detail for longevity and other things, but I'd have to create a whole new report. And if you're looking
If
at,
you added 2 lines for the ones that are affected, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5.
if you see,
is on there.
yeah, if you see at the bottom, I do specify
Yeah,
that,
we already went through all that when we
Okay.
were here.
okay?
Would it change how you have to show these reportings? If you did 2 lines on those,
I have
5.
room to do it, but it's gonna be more work on my part to break out the different,
You know, that's why, I
Accounts.
mentioned the timing of when you come in and getting everything ready
Yeah.
between the budget, the warrant articles, the town report. It may be something to work towards in the next report. And it may not be accomplished in this report, but, you know, it's a suggestion you're making, and it's something that's worth looking at over the year, cause then next year, they'll be prepared for that ahead of time.
It gives a little more, and I understand your point, it gives more granularity in what the salaries versus what an extra duty is.
Yes.
And I think it's,
for example, if I just look at this part-time officer, there's special duty part-time rate, $3,576. Then there's overtime rate, $3,005.93, and then there's a retro pay, $448. Then there's the regular pay, $441,083, and then federal, $600. So then you get into a full-timer, then it gets even more detailed, so I can pick and choose, but then there's just a lot of adding and tracking, whereas that
Would you,
report that I
would you
use,
just rather just take out just the, special duty pay and leave
You
it
can't
at
do
that?
that.
Okay.
just the special duty
Just the
pay?
special duty pay, cause all the other stuff is paid for by the town. Special
Right.
duty is paid for
Okay,
by
all right,
the
I see what
contract.
you're saying,
Two categories.
Why don't we,
I can probably do that.
no,
So just the special duty part for, it's just on them,
Anyone who works special duty, cause there's special duty on a part-timer here, and, full-timers, not many of them do the special duty.
so it's just the special duty, you don't wanna take their standard pay and all
Only
that.
No.
special duty and all other categories.
So I'll list them twice, the name twice,
Yeah, the name, or maybe the name with,
space,
yeah,
and with the 2 lines.
whoever works.
No, list the name twice, right? List it once for that standard pay for
Yeah.
everything, and then do the special duty line right below it.
and I can
That-
code it
that's-
that it says.
You
S-
start creating spaces in here, and you're gonna bring your eyes right to it immediately.
And that's what I would like to have, you know, the one line following the other, yeah.
Right.
That's what I'd like.
I'll give this stuff to you, Mike. Lean, is that something we can implement this year, or do you wanna wait?
I'll do whatever I have to do, if that's what you would like me to do, I will do that.
Well, the thing is, if we don't do it this year, then I'd say that's something we can implement for next year for sure. Figure it, it's getting late,
No?
in the hour, and the thing is, I hear you, but the thing is, I'd like to defer just to next year. Let's not, we got enough going on right now.
I think that
My only thing is, right now, I'm short-handed, so
Yeah, I know that.
I'm working a lot of long days, weekends, holidays.
I think we'll just leave it up to Lean, if she can do it, she can, if not, don't worry about it.
And if you can do it, so be it, but the thing is, I wanna put a hot item, it's not, we're getting the information in there, but it's not showing the granularity, which is desired. But next year, we can definitely, I have no issue next year putting it in there, because we have enough notice, we can act on it. Go ahead.
And the incentives.
Yeah, I wanted to thank the board for accepting the Wellness Coordinator Academy funds from Health Trust. That was a really good class to go to. And to piggyback off of that whole concept, I wanted to just throw an idea out to the board to consider about incentivizing an optional yearly physical agility test. So anyone hired after January 1, 2001 has to take a PT test and a medical exam every 3 years to keep their certification. So of our current staff, there's only 2 officers who are exempt from that. So 7 of us have to do a PT test and a medical every 3 years in order to essentially keep our jobs.
In the exempt are because they were grandfathered in.
Exactly.
Okay?
So what I'd like to do, or at least propose to the board, is offering an optional incentivized PT test where full-time officers could get essentially 8 hours of paid time off if they pass, and part-time officers could get a stipend. The reason behind this is because we've seen a trend where, and a lot of police departments face this issue, where officers generally don't start preparing for their 3-year test until that 3rd year, and then there might be an issue with passing. So if we can have them doing it every year, it gets them into their medical doctor every year instead of every 3 years, if they're not going for their annual physical every year. But it also keeps them in better shape and less susceptibility to injury and better overall physical health. You have to do push-ups, sit-ups, and a 1.5 mile run. So it's good for camaraderie, it's good for teamwork. This isn't a new concept to law enforcement in New Hampshire. There's a lot of other agencies that have some type of incentivized yearly test. I can certainly put something together in writing that's a little more formal, but I at least want to throw the idea out there. There's a lot of interest within the agency in doing this, and I think that it would benefit the town in the long run.
I'm just gonna speak for myself, but the stipend that I see here would be a 2-rate stipend, full-time and part-time. I see that you did the 8 hours, and I think that might send the wrong idea to the taxpayers, giving them hours off for doing something that, you know, is gonna be expected of them every 3 years, but I see that the stipend amount's fairly small to me, and if you could do a full-time stipend and then a smaller amount for the part-timers, as you show here, I think that might be something easier to swallow
Yeah, how much is it?
than giving the 8 hours.
Okay.
So if you look at that maybe, and then come back to us at a later time.
Sure. The idea was to try and do things without putting dollars into it. There is some money from the grant that we could use for the part-time stipends, you know, how do you deal with, if it's everybody, you know, so the
But just a
full-timers maybe-
different stipend, different amount for full-time versus vice.
Right.
Right, that's our thing, Bobby,
So
what are your
this,
thoughts?
this would have to be an amendment to the personnel plan, right? You wanna incorporate that into the personnel plan so that it's a
It-
record of
It
some
wouldn't necessarily have to be in the personnel plan, I mean, we would have something in paper, on paper, that would just have to be approved by the board.
Well, you can
And we
just-
would have our own policy to cover it.
Or you can just give your blessing on it, it's nothing I want to just go off and do on my own without your blessing, so that's why it's.
Why don't you come back to us with some more finalized wording and
Sure.
then we can look at that. And
Okay,
I know that we have changed the personnel policy on other stipend type ideas, and that's what Lean, I think, is alluding to.
we'll give you some time to think about it, mull over.
But I like that you can see that a dollar amount versus the, you know, hours versus their pay. That's all kind of different rates, and I'm thinking a full-time and part-time amount would be a lot easier to look at and a lot easier for you guys to maintain.
But again, it's a condition of employment too.
Oh, it
So,
is, yeah.
It is,
So,
yeah.
thing is, you maintain your physical fitness, you stay employed, I mean, that's a major incentive.
It absolutely is. I'm just trying to look at this from more the holistic wellness piece with, you know, if you have an officer who only goes to their medical doctor every 3 years
Right.
to get the medical form signed off so they can do their PT test, if there was some type of incentivization for them to go to their medical doctor every year in order to participate in this, you have some preventative health
You
screening
do
as
have
well.
some money, did your group completed the wellness?
Right. My
Wondering,
goal
can you
is to try and break this out. I certainly could tie this all in.
Because that's more of a hell, you guys earn that money in the sense that, by doing the wellness type stuff, maybe you could just put that into the program too. And maybe rank order too, I mean, you know, they have age, it's hard to rate a 25-year-old to a 40-year-old. But sometimes you can rank order them, whoever gets the best score, for example, gets, you know, overtime, whatever. Be creative.
Certainly, yeah, and we can work this within the $500 that we got. I was just trying to break this out separately.
Okay, I was
because
just throwing an idea out there.
Sure, no, absolutely, I'll certainly,
Dave
consider
last
that.
week wanted to keep the money ourselves.
Well, we could buy donuts.
We're gonna buy pizza and beer, but this is like that.
That takes points off the other side.
It does. I'll put together, something.
Yeah, well, I think we're amenable, the thing is, it's gotta be, just cost conscious.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I think the biggest incentive is, it's a condition of employment.
Right, and I don't disagree with that. I'm
Okay.
just trying to, incentivize something for guys to do every single year, that's all.
Understood.
Thank you.
Well, it was an issue this last year that we had to talk about, so.
Yeah, because we were getting really, right down to the wire,
I
right
remember
down to the wire,
I remember it.
yeah.
And that's what kind of sparked this whole discussion.
Discussion.
And
Understood.
losing one of our people for something like that would be a giant monkey wrench.
Okay, so next.
We had talked about the door-to-door salesman thing, I already addressed that with,
Yeah, the email was great, thank you.
Then,
It was a great response.
Okay.
Spot on, I'll put it that way. This is the response he sent to the
Yeah.
concerned citizen,
Yeah.
he gave us a copy of it, thank you. It was a good job.
And the only other thing I wanted to mention was that, we installed Brian Tyler installed a smart thermostat over at the police department, so you can kind of monitor the temperature and stuff over there, better for energy management. So we'd be kind of curious to see if we don't have some kind of cost savings over the cost,
That's a
Yeah,
great
from
idea,
the,
I'd like to
yeah.
do it here too.
You
'Cause I
do it
walk
right
through
from your
here,
smartphone, it's
I
nice.
Yeah.
do it, I walk through here at night and turn down the heat a lot.
Yeah, you can program it on your smartphone. If you're away, you can turn up or turn down the heat. It's a nice way to manage it.
Lean, why don't we put a note for after our budgets and all that, we'll come in and think about doing that for our town buildings.
Who put it in?
Brian did.
Okay, he may have other work with us.
No, he did a good job.
Okay.
And my last thing that's not on here, and I apologize, is, I've been speaking with Lean about it, but we put in for a, bulletproof vest partnership grant, which is through the Department of Justice. And what that does is it reimburses the town, for half the cost of new body armor. So we outfitted 2 of our officers this year with new body armor that had expired, and we'll be receiving just shy of about $1,000 in reimbursement, so that'll be
So you
coming
have a
down the
grant?
pike. Yes, that'll be coming, yeah.
So,
Okay, kudos.
what he's asking is that when we get the check, that you guys allocate the money back to them, because I can't put the money back into the department,
That's what's gonna pay for their stipend.
but I explained it in the account area, but I wanna make sure that they know that it should go back,
Yeah.
so that you.
We've used this for a number of times, we bought other body armor with these grants.
No, it's, I think it's we have a good grant writer in the town, and I'm very appreciative of that.
All right, now I think the rest is non-public then,
That's
yeah?
it, yeah, so we're gonna sit with that, okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
No,
It's not
they're gonna wait until after, so that we can
We left
get
the
all of
doc
our
thing for
business
later on.
done.
Oh, okay, I got some answers on that.
Linda, you're up. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
The 2 pages on the flag in there could be the statutes you're looking for. Okay, phew. No rush. Thank you for seeing me. I have a laundry list for you tonight. We talked about a housekeeping article for the warrant this year. So I'm gonna give you a little background. In 1999, at the town meeting, the town voted to, if we had any veterans who were prisoners of war in certain conflicts and who qualified, were to be issued a free registration. It's an ordinance that was adopted by the state. There was a law that was adopted by the state, and there was an option to have the towns do so in kind. As you know, when you do a registration, there's a town fee and there's a state fee. So the state automatically issued the POW their portion at no charge. The town followed suit and voted to adopt that. There has since been a few more veteran style plates for qualifying veterans. These are for Purple Heart recipients and Pearl Harbor survivors. I broke them down in separate articles. I couldn't see a real way. I've given you the statute up top that covers it, and then 2 prospective articles down below. We can either break it up into each plate type, or we can combine it into one article. And I would leave that up to the board, and maybe Lean could check with the municipal association to see how most towns are doing it,
Okay.
if they adopt it. It was just passed in September 2019. We do at the current time have, in 2019, I issued 2 registrations to people who are Purple Heart recipients. The cost to the town for this depends on the vehicle. One registrant had a very old vehicle, and the cost was $73.50 that would be waived. The other registrant had a newer vehicle, and the cost was $419.50 that would be waived if we adopt it.
That's the town fee?
That's the town fee. The state automatically doesn't charge a state fee for those.
I think we have one other disabled, 100% disabled. These are only.
There's a different type.
Yeah,
They're the 100% disabled, and I'd have to do a little, we have many more of those. I'd have to do some research to find out what the cost is to the town, but that's been kind of in place since before I became clerk. To find out if the town ever officially adopted that, I'd have to start around 1943, which is, I think, the
You're
first
talking
year
about
the
for this
state.
year?
Pardon?
This is for this year?
This is a proposed warrant article for this year. Because as I said, we currently have those 2 Purple Heart plates.
When's the cutoff?
cut off
Budget,
for-
public hearings next week, so I should have everything before.
But there was a cutoff on our calendar.
That's for petition warrant articles, these are housekeeping and general warrant articles, so. I know that through the assessing board and the MS1, we have 7, totally disabled veterans that qualify through the DD 214, but I don't know if it falls under the category of the Purple Heart.
It's all right, it's all tied to RSA. Tied to RSA 72:28.
Cause there's quite a few that fall under that, but
They would have to
it
go
must
to
be
motor
the four.
vehicle. They have the option, they don't have to take the free registration. So they would have to present their DD 214 to the Department of Motor Vehicles. And once they give it to them, then the motor vehicle department would change their status in our system.
Oh, okay,
If
so it's
the
nothing I would have
veteran
to
so-
track, or,
No,
because all
Linda,
mine are
you
general.
wouldn't have
I
to
would
track
like to
it.
put a note on here to state that Article number 1 was passed in 1999 previously. Down on the bottom, so you don't get a lot of questions about why you're not including Article number 1.
I don't, Lean would have to check with the municipal association to see if that's an appropriate thing to put in the warrant article.
Well, even right after your RSA, you could put a note to that effect.
But these have to go in the warrant.
These have to go on the
These have, that
warrant.
has to go on the
These
warrant,
can't go in the
and
warrant.
we're not gonna include
The
that
top
body of the
section.
warrant at the top. It's
This is
just
the-
for your, so you can see the entire
She's just giving the
statute.
background.
Right, I'm just pulling those two things out because we already passed, like you said, article,
Yeah,
the first section in 1999.
Thing is, that what I would ask, will you be prepared to talk to it at town meeting?
Oh, yes, and I was gonna say I can certainly talk to it at town meeting.
I don't have a problem with it.
It's really just that, like right now, we have one Purple Heart recipient, who will be, well, we have two of them. Actually, one had just passed, so the other one will be renewing next year. And that's when he will have
I
the
don't-
ability
I
to
don't care
get
how
that
many
free
we have, I
one.
don't have any issue with it.
Right,
Well, the thing is that people, I'm just.
people will ask.
People
how
ask
many-
how many and what's the tax impact?
How many?
And the tax impact, you say you can't answer because it depends upon what vehicle they
It
drive.
depends on what vehicle they drive. Now, the person who, the other person who had the Purple Heart plate, passed away last year. But this gentleman was a Purple Heart recipient and 100% disabled veteran. And he had his choice of which registration he could get at no charge. And he obviously chose the more expensive of the two.
I think we should be careful getting into any specifics and say there's just no way with different types of vehicles that we could determine what the tax impact would be, and not get into the amount of numbers, because people move into towns and leave towns. So I think we should leave that completely.
I agree.
You know, this is just something we either do or don't do,
No, but
and we don't,
I still think, I just wanna.
people may ask for
People may ask,
impact,
but-
but we can't answer that.
Oh, but we can't. The thing is, I'm not gonna hide it from the public.
The cost is tied
We don't,
directly to the
we don't know if somebody's
MSRP
gonna
of the
move into the
vehicle.
Purple Heart.
No, but the thing is, at this time, we have approximately 3, and Linda can allude to that if someone
Right,
asks,
but
I have no
you
problem
said
with that.
something, you said that when they apply for this, they either have to take the totally disabled tax credit or the vehicle registration, is?
Not the tax credit, not property taxes,
Okay,
this is
okay.
totally separate.
This is just
All right.
This is
tax.
strictly car registrations.
All right.
Right, they have, the other thing that we currently give, and I don't know if the town ever officially adopted it because it was in place when I came on in 1996. But if you are a totally disabled vet qualifying according to that statute, which is the same statute for taxes, that's
Right.
what qualifies you.
Yeah.
That's what qualifies you for the 100% disability. We do have maybe 8 or 10, as you said, in town, who do get free registration. And I can put those figures
I would just have them on a cheat sheet,
in case somebody
in
asks.
case you ask, so you can make it go smoothly,
And
so it
those numbers
passes.
vary because, I mean, I told you just, I wanted to give you the example, the two Purple Heart plates. One would be $73.50, the other would be $419.50. It just depends on what
What
they're
they want.
driving.
Yes, and what plate they want too, because a lot of the Purple Hearts are gonna, a lot of disabled will be related to Purple Hearts too,
Right, but they get one or the other, they
Correct.
don't get both.
yeah.
And I just clarified
Well, I mean,
that with motor vehicle
no
today.
questions, so, okay. Any further questions?
So those are what you can let me know if you want me to put them on, if you wanna put them on as two separate warrant articles and have Lean check with the wording.
I'd like
That's
to do
the gist.
separate ones.
I'm leaning towards a separate one, Celine, what would be convenient?
Just add another, we're up to 18 now, but we just add 2 more articles, probably towards the end,
Yeah,
before hearing reports from agents.
yeah,
It's not a monetary thing as far as dollar values go, right now, this time. And it is,
And the
you know,
impact to the town is not huge.
yeah,
No,
so
no.
the veterans tax credit RSA is 7228, which is what yours is, but obviously this is section 4 of that article, because the veterans credits were adopted and amended in 1990. You're saying this was,
If you look at the thing that I
1999.
gave you with the articles on it,
yeah,
look at the top.
mm-hmm,
Okay, this is the statute we're talking about
Yeah.
for motor vehicles.
yeah.
And there it says, armed conflict as defined in RSA 7228. 7228 is just the definition. So
Right,
what they're saying is, same definition that's applied, used for tax credits,
Yep.
is also used for the car.
Yeah.
For the free plates.
okay.
Okay, it's the 7228 is just definitions.
Linda, just as long as you're prepared to talk to it and have your cheat sheet, so you
Aye.
you can move through it quickly.
Yes. I will.
Okay, any other advice, gentlemen, any advice? Nope.
All right, I'll present this to the DRA.
Yep.
Yeah, and just have them eyeball that.
Can you send this to me electronically in Word, so I could just, I don't have to retype it?
Sure.
I would just, the last word, all that, I would just said evidence, provide the town clerk with satisfactory evidence, evidence.
Is that, I typed it very quickly from the statute, did I mistype it?
No, that's good, the thing is,
It
it's, yeah,
matches the
I
statute.
copied
it
it.
matches statute, okay,
I copied it right from the
yeah,
statute.
but it doesn't need a question mark. I got you. Okay,
Okay,
consider it,
That's that. and the dog thing I gave to the chief.
And you're all set?
So
Yep.
that was that. And may I have a few more minutes of your time, please?
okay,
You got another, since Mr. Wigan bailed out, sorry chief, I'll try not to be long. I got a copy of the revised budget from Lean. I understand that last week the board had cut part of the deputy salary. So I wanted to bring that up. I've been waiting for the video to come on YouTube or the minutes or something and haven't had anything, so I just scrambled to put something together. And I was wondering if you could maybe give me a rough idea of why you decided to cut it, the deputy budget. It was cut by $1,154.
It was different days cut out of it? Is that what you're talking about?
All I'm seeing is a reduction. I had requested 13,337, and the board approved 12,183. So the board reduced my request by 1,154, and I was just wondering what you used for a basis for that.
it was, I'm gonna quickly allude to it,
I don't have my notes here, because I would've brought the budget with me.
I brought the notes. It was a reduction of hours, Linda, that they thought,
This is what I had presented to you in my budget, so maybe. That will be a refresher. So my bottom line was 13,336.
I can tell you, most of it was on that second line down, Linda, from my memory.
Uh-huh.
The 112 hours that equals 1795. That 28 hours per week for 4 weeks was reduced substantially on that line, if I remember right.
Okay, so if you take, she's already at 12 hours a week for 52 weeks.
Linda, here I have the calculations.
Okay. I'm gonna give you the 2019.
That's what we reduced it to.
I'm gonna give you the breakdown of 2019. So maybe you can understand why I'm asking about the reduction.
Did you see my paper? Bob, that's what we had done there.
This is Dave's paper.
That's my notes to what we had done that night.
So that's where the bulk of it came in, was the additional coverage for vacation. We cut it down to just 3 days a week, had the office closed for one day, it's not open on Friday. So we figured the 3 days a week for the 4 weeks. And the other cut was made to the miscellaneous of 40, and we cut it down and left 20 there. Because you can manage her hours, and there's gotta be times in the month when you're both there and you could actually use her at a different time, so. I
Okay, so
mean,
maybe,
yeah, I mean, I'm just going with, cause you're in the, and I'm not there, but you're in the office every day, so you know what times of the month you're busy and you're not busy. And it was simply a way of trying to, we cut quite a few of the budgets.
oh, the
So you
only,
weren't the only
the
one.
only thing I saw was, that line and,
Oh, no,
printing line.
no,
We cut something off Lean's budget, and they also cut
was
something
printing.
on Jeff's.
That was printing. Anyway, I'm
so
not gonna.
that's where we made our we figured we added the an additional hour on each day that she was here, so that she could do the banking, because we know that that's critical. And so it left one day that they would be closed, and Friday they would still be closed.
So, well, let's do this line by line then. I appreciate you offering to close my office an extra day a week when I'm on vacation, but I would like to respectfully remind the board that the decision to open or close the office lies with the clerk. So I obviously I try not to close the office if I can possibly not avoid it. I'll juggle and work hours around with Hope so we don't have to close. So that'll be covered. So that is, so it's the 28 hours a week is the difference. She's already got 12. And then those 4 weeks that I'm on vacation would be another 28 in addition to the 12.
So
to
they're
bring
40
her to
hours a
40.
week, which,
Right, would bring her to
But-
40, which would,
but that's not what we're proposing. At least that's what we agreed that we weren't proposing to do. We were proposing to use the 29. Whatever you do at managed hours is what you do at managed hours.
and certainly I could, it
No.
would be much easier to close that extra day.
Well, you don't have, I mean,
It would be a lot
if you,
easier.
You don't have to
if
make
you can manage the hours and keep it open, that's your prerogative. But I'm just saying that we gave enough money so that it would be open that amount of time. If it can be open more time, then you may be able to find those hours by managing the hours.
It would, yeah, it certainly would be easier, and,
And you taking
To
your
close it.
part-time employee, and while you're gone, you're making her work 4 10-hour days. And that's, we felt that was unreasonable in the sense that, in my opinion, you could be open all 4 days, but not necessarily for 10 hours each day.
and that's another option, and which would, I can tell you right off the bat, the public does not check my hours before they come in. So for those 4 weeks, if I changed those hours to where she was not doing 4 10-hour days, Lean or whoever is here would be dealing with some unhappy people.
But that's I
But
would.
we do put that out in advance
Right.
on the renewal notices, we try to. But I like your suggestions and thank you for thinking outside the box on that.
Okay.
The conference is a given. The elections, we have 4 of them this year,
We didn't touch the elections.
right,
What was
which
the
is
other one we
good.
touched? Do you have my
Yeah.
paper still?
It was just a miscellaneous, we just reduced the number of hours, I think.
So what we've done, I've kind of closed
Got mine,
some,
it's the last page on there, there at the bottom.
Yeah, hang on a second. Just read the back.
I mean, I'm willing to do a little negotiating with you, but with the 4 elections, it's not just that the 4 days that we're at the polls. It is 4 elections, meaning the webinars. I think you folks just got a whole boatload of webinar links from Rainey. hope, we have to stay so on top of this training. Unfortunately, they don't always hold the webinars on Tuesdays and Thursdays during Hope's scheduled hours. A lot of those webinars happen on Wednesdays. Some of them you have to do them live, there's question and answers. She's had to attend trainings that, once again, don't always fall into her Tuesday to Thursday regular hours. And we need those buffers because we are under such a magnifying glass with elections. It's really important that she stay on top of it.
Yeah, I don't think
Just-
we, like Bob said, I don't think we touch elections, did we, Bob?
Nope, we didn't touch the election.
Yeah, what I put in there for the 4 elections is really the extra coverage for her to be there, a little bit extra for some of the other things. I just don't wanna come up short-handed, I don't wanna go over budget at the end of the year. Some of this is a buffer. Last year, I had the miscellaneous coverage. If you look at the 2019, it was 30 hours. And I recall that when I presented my budget, Selectman Kaminsky reminded me that at the end of the year, if you see, oh, I've got all these hours left, use them up, that you didn't want to see that. And I very respectfully worked hard not to dip into that. I didn't. I used, in 2019, I used 761 hours. I really kept within it. So
Oh, the 800, yeah.
yeah, out of the 800. And you asked me, and respectfully, I did my darndest to comply, and that was in spite of having a husband just go through surgery and some other things. So with the new figure gives me 760 hours for 2020. In 2019, I used 761. So the new figure gives me less hours for this year. That has a whole lot more happening in it. So I'm gonna ask you to reconsider, and we can negotiate certainly, because I definitely appreciate the fact that you're trying to keep the cost low for the taxpayers.
Did you wanna change the miscellaneous to 30? That gives her more manageable hours.
What did you, what
We
was
had
it?
40.
There was 40, we cut it down to 20. So if you pump that up to 30, that gives her more hours that she can manage.
I don't even wanna give her all 40 back on the miscellaneous if you want, and then she could use it on those weeks if she so chooses to up on the top, on her vacation.
I don't know, I think working vacation, just gotta think out of the box. I mean, everyone goes on vacation, and the thing is, some offices are only so deep, and the thing is, even if you open up for 8 hours in a day, and I think reduced hours during the week, that's your management tool, that's something you can have to work out.
And we can, those are great ideas too.
Well, she already has to do that though, right?
Right.
To be taking the hours.
So I don't wanna necessarily add it to that, I would rather go with what Bob
No,
said.
I'm saying, what I'm saying, Mike, is give her full 40 instead of going,
Well, I'll go
from
half,
30.
I'll go halfway, just give her, we cut it down to 20, go
That's
with
what I'm
go with
doing,
30.
I kinda like move towards the middle, so.
And also to remind you that since a few boards ago, you know, I've been trying mightily to expand the hours for my deputy. She's still in training. And even though we're both here together, she's still in training. She's got a handle on the day-to-day stuff. But this, like 4 elections in a year, this is only that only happens every 4 years. So there are things I gotta go back and research. It's not stuff that happens every day. Right now, we've got about 45 absentee ballots out. There's a tremendous strain on,
would you be okay with that if we move that hours up to 30?
It gives you a little bit more.
Same
Which-
as you had, the miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous,
hours.
that would give you more flexibility where to use it.
right,
But I disagree with Dave, I would use it more towards those critical items. I think vacation can be variable, as we
As-
discussed.
and as I said for last year, you know, you asked me not to just use it because it was there, and I didn't, and I saved it for critical, and the day my husband was having surgery, I was here in the office because my deputy had already arranged a vacation out of state. So I really do try not to close
Okay.
the office if I can avoid it.
Okay.
And
Are
don't
we
forget too,
consensus?
the number of transactions that I have is going up, the town's getting bigger and bigger, And I finally got a really great qualified deputy, and I wanna use her to catch up on stuff. For all those years, I haven't been able to catch up on stuff,
I
like the
completely
dog
understood.
stuff. Thank
All
you.
right, can you
We-
clarify for me?
We're getting, we're adding 10 hours, additional hours for a budget.
Okay, so I'm gonna take 10 hours times 1603 and increase her part-time line, yes?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay, so you're giving me,
It's on the miscellaneous line.
it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
the bottom line is a
Oh,
deputy.
okay, yep.
It's $160.30.
Well, can I stick that paper back into my?
so
Oh,
on
I-
miscellaneous, you're giving me 10 hours?
Yes, ma'am. That way, you have a little more flexibility.
So I've got a few more hours
Than
this
last
year
year.
than I got
Actually,
last
I
year
cheated last year.
with 4 elections. Got it.
I probably will never find it again anyway, but I happened to bring it this week.
And I got all mine on my desk, but I didn't bring everything, I just brought what I needed tonight.
Okay, so Linda, the new line for that deputy line, which is one total, I just appreciate for the board's sake. I'm gonna increase it 12,183 by $160.03, so the new total
I brought mine, I should have notes.
will be 12,343.30.
So,
And the system rounds to dollars, so. I'll
12,343.30.
Yeah, so the program will be rounding to the dollar, so it'll be 12,343 is the new dollar amount for the deputy line.
Okay.
That's what
Okay,
that one was.
so,
That's what
okay.
that one too.
so I'm getting,
10 hours at
Keep throwing Dave's
1603.
numbers off.
so I'm getting 9 more hours than she used last year. Got it,
Okay, I don't know exactly.
yeah.
Linda, just so you do know, we did cut Woody's,
Oh, I'm not gonna,
Down.
thank you.
and we cut 2 lines on Jeff's, and we cut some of Lane's on there, so.
But that was early on, that was during the discussion of the budget, so it didn't make it to the last threshold of additional cuts, and that's why there's only 2 that are noted in the report that she got, were the final ones that you made after everyone's budget.
The other ones were on their capital improvement funds and whatnot, so you, and the road paving fund, so that's why you didn't really see those as like hours cut.
Oh, I just went by the sheet that Lee, and I really didn't look to see who else got cut, because I really wanna focus on this, and
Well, I
do
think
need to
all
re-
the departments really worked hard to keep things relatively level services with minimal increases, and I'm appreciative that all the departments are working towards that.
The unfortunate thing is that, you know, the number of transactions that we're doing is really increasing. And there's gonna come a point where we're gonna bust at the seams. It's like the infrastructure on the roads. You can only go so many years of keeping it level, and the next thing you know, it's all falling apart. I try to increase the hours for the deputy. The position needs to really be bigger than it is. Cause at some point, the deputy's gonna have to take over when the clerk gets that winning lottery ticket and retires early. And you really want a smooth transition.
Yeah.
So, thank you for your time.
We don't, at least we don't have to get a roadshow town clerk. The one who comes in, does, fill us in when, for an emergency.
Well, it was an emergency and it was unanticipated, so you never know.
You never know. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Okay.
Could that help?
can I go through
Okay.
warrant articles or town business? What do you want to jump
Oh,
at?
these are the ones I was gonna-
I will go ahead the warrants, let's talk tomorrow.
So I'm gonna add 2 warrants to what you currently have in front of you. And I'm
Correct.
gonna make a change to the operating budget total based on the amendments, right?
Correct.
Can I ask now, do you think that we need to meet for a short workshop, just to go over my changes, so I have another pair of eyes, 6 eyes,
I think if
looking
you
at,
make the changes and email it to us, we can review it,
Yeah.
I think you got it pretty well down pat now.
you think so?
We'll just we'll review the sense and the numbers on those
Okay,
fill-ins.
if I can get you to double check my numbers, because I don't have a problem with
Yep.
people,
And I can stop by certainly and go through them with you one time too.
okay.
I'd rather email my, I'd rather make hard copy, Dave, I know, it's just, what is,
We can meet with you.
yeah, okay. All right,
Which one are you starting? These first ones are all.
these 1 through,
Okay, the first page are zoning amendments.
you have your basic, to choose all necessary officers, which they announced at the beginning. 2 through 6 are the zoning amendments that, the planning board held 2, public hearings on. They finalized their last ones on Wednesday night. This is the wording that is going to be on the ballot that's submitted to the town clerk. So we only have to go to Article 7. Again, these numbers I have to work with, from the BMSI report.
Which you're only gonna change the one that we just adjusted tonight. the tax
Correct, which would
collector.
fall under the elections, registration, and vitals, the 26,561,
Mhm.
I'll add that dollar amount there.
Which was it, more plus the.
$160.03, so it's not gonna be a lot. It probably won't even adjust, it probably won't even increase the, tax rate either.
160.
Do you want me to give you the number, the new number?
Yeah, please, if you would,
Okay.
that'd be great.
So the bottom line, new total will be 2,658,20203.
2658.
26582. Am I reading that right? 03. I'm sorry, 02. Yes, $2,658,202. So it changed the $42 up to 202. Okay,
Got it.
And you
then
changed line item 26.
2651. 2651, 26561, we'll add $160. This is in dollars now, so.
Yeah. 26.
Plus 160. That new amount will be 26,721. On the elections, registration, and final. The third
one.
number down.
Sorry, I was,
What's the number, Mike?
Yeah, got it. 160.03. Okay, so that's the new
I
number.
don't even think it's gonna change any percentages, Lean.
Yes. So the bottom adjusted, let's see here, 2,5,618. I'm gonna knock that 3 cents off there, it's 2,658, 2 minus.
just tiny as
Oh, yeah.
So the bottom line is 1,405,152 to raise from taxes. And that's divided by 365 times 1,000.
1,5.
It's still, 4.4556, so it's still 4.6 cents, or $4.46.
So it
So
hasn't
the-
changed.
The tax rate will not change, it's just the numbers will get adjusted slightly.
Okay, that works.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, we'll move on. So that was Article 7, the operating budget.
Yep.
I'm gonna change that up in the wording up at the top as well. There's the first line that I need to fix. Okay, and then, Article 8 is the standard, a deposit of 14,000 into the reval capital reserve established for this purpose and summarized in the capital improvements. That's a 5-cent impact. Any questions?
No,
Article 9, appropriate, vote to raise and appropriate the sum of up to $50,000 for the purpose of the statistical property revaluation and to authorize the withdrawal of said funds to come from the revaluation capital reserve fund created for this purpose, no amount to come from taxes, so there is no tax impact on that number 9. Any questions?
no, we're just taking money out of it, this didn't come.
Yeah, Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of up to $15,000 for the purpose of purchasing a used backhoe and to authorize the withdrawal of said funds to come from the transfer station vehicle or equipment capital reserve fund created for this purpose, no amount to come from taxes. No questions? Okay, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $40,000 to be added to the fire department emergency vehicle capital reserve fund previously established and as summarized in the capital improvements plan. Estimated 2020 tax rate impact is 13 cents.
Okay,
Okay, number 12, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of up to $53,000 to purchase a new police cruiser with equipment and installation of equipment, and to fund this appropriation by withdrawing $40,000 from the police special detail revolving fund, with the remaining $13,000 to come from taxes. Estimated 2020 tax rate impact, 4 cents. Any questions?
That's good.
Number 13, see if the town will vote to establish a new police vehicle capital reserve fund and to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the police vehicle capital reserve page fund as summarized in the capital improvements plan. This sum to come from surplus. Estimated 2020 tax rate impact 0.
The only thing I would, Dave, I know we talked about that, chief, I know we talked last week about it, but the thing is, we do have a police special detail revolving fund, which we've been tapping for anything that is needed by the police department, correct? But it's been
Vehicles, I think it's specifically the vehicles and vehicle equipment.
So what we're creating there, we have two funds for vehicles.
No, the other vehicle fund that he's using is from doing their special duties.
Right, we have one, in other words, we're buying a vehicle this year. I'm gonna be a devil's advocate as a voter. Why are we creating another fund if we already have a fund?
Because one's for special duties and that never covers a full vehicle, as we can see.
Well, it covers $40,000. How long did it take to get 40,000? How many years?
Varies from year to year on how much call there is for us and how many people I have working.
Correct,
So
So,
we had
we
we had like
made more this year than we
26,000
made any
this
year that I know of.
okay.
So what we're doing, Mike, is by doing that capital improvement fund, which shouldn't be a large amount of money each year, but it's gonna be standard on the warrant articles like every other department has, so maybe it's 10 or 15.
Okay, it doesn't have to be as much,
$1,000.
okay.
It's not much money.
I just didn't wanna have
Right.
it, the thing is, we're gonna have to be able to defend that to the voters while we have two.
But what happens is during the years that when we don't buy any vehicles, like 17 and 18, we didn't buy vehicles.
Right,
So some money could have been appropriated for the capital reserve fund, and then your warrant this year would say by taking 40,000 from the special reserve fund and 20,000 from the capital reserve
And
fund, cost the taxpayer zero.
if I need
You know?
augmentation, please help me on town meeting.
But I'll help you on that, because what happens, Mike, is it's gonna even out their tax rate over the years. Instead of having a large purchase, none,
Exactly.
large purchase, none, and go through that cycle, we should be able to even this out, and after looking at a few years of your,
I can see probably down the road, probably raising at least 1,000 to seed money,
Yeah,
and then raising as we see fit.
that's all the 1,000 was for the start of the
This
fund.
time,
Yeah.
yeah, because we're fairly predictable of when we have our replacements.
Yeah.
So we're doing like $10,000 or $15,000 per year, Mike, is what
Yeah.
that probably end up
So
being.
the only thing that the taxpayer may or may not know is that the special duty revolving fund is held with the treasurer.
Yeah.
And this capital reserve will be deposited and held with the trustee of the trust funds.
And
That's
only
the big-
used once the voters appropriate the use of the
Both of them
funds.
are only used
Right.
for that, at that.
But the thing is, the special detail money could be, well, capital improvement fund could be almost for anything, but we're targeting vehicles, bottom line.
We did label it as vehicles.
Right,
It's,
Right, okay, but what about the revolving fund?
I think it said vehicles and equipment so that we could pay for not just the vehicle, but the outfit as well.
Absolutely, okay, I'm good. I just wanna be prepared to talk to that to the voters if we have to, and the thing is, we're gonna work as a team, so we can make it go smoothly.
Yeah, if we can be self-sufficient with our special duty fund to buy vehicles, then that would be ultimately the best solution,
Scenario.
but we can't count on that to happen all the time.
Okay, gotcha, okay. Move on. Next.
so, I think I'm okay with my numbering, I haven't messed up here, 12, 13, we're up to 14. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the highway vehicle capital reserve fund previously established for this purpose and as summarizes the capital improvement plan, that is a 3 cent 2020 tax rate impact. Last week, the board had approved 20,000 to be deposited in here. I spoke to you independently, and the road agent had expressed wanting to leave his paving warrant article at the full amount, and if need be, reducing the deposit of the capital reserve to a lower amount, seeing as he's got one vehicle that's 5 years old, the other one is brand new being put together. And because it's, the cost of pavement and paving is constantly going up, he wants to try to get ahead of the game with keeping that warrant article the same, so that's the reason for that change.
And he's okay with that?
He is absolutely okay if the board is okay to support that.
Gentlemen, we're all set with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope, okay.
Okay, and then Article 15, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 for additional costs associated with paving, estimated 2020 tax rate impact 32 cents.
problem,
Any
keep going.
questions? Okay. To see, Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $22.50 for the milfoil patrol at Gorham Pond, to authorize the selectmen to accept a grant from the state of New Hampshire DES in the amount of, I did it again, that was only 400 and something. Okay. Look at my minutes. That should read $430. Let's see if I got it on this one corrected. I'll have to correct that. Let's see, last one.
So you're talking about changing the 42-32?
Yeah, it's only like
$900.
oh, the grant was $900, but oh, okay, I did put it in the other one, but I didn't change it on this one, okay. So it's a $900 grant.
Right.
I should change that. And then to withdraw $155 in donations from unassigned fund balance, and to withdraw $13.50 from the invasive plant species capital reserve fund established for this purpose, no amount to come from taxes. Okay, other than that change, any questions?
Nope.
Okay, number 17, this is housekeeping, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to appoint the town welfare director in accordance with RSA 41-2, rather than electing a welfare director. This position would follow the guidelines of the Dunbarton Personnel Plan and be governed by the selectmen. I did have the DRA review this, and she said that she had no problems with the language. So there is no tax rate impact on that one. And then the last two are the standard, to hear the reports of agents, auditors, and committees, and other officers heretofore chosen and pass any vote related thereto, and then to transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. So those are your warrants.
And those two ones from Linda.
And
So
then I will
from
add,
Linda's would probably be 18 and 19.
well, actually, I'll put it right after 17, 18, 19, and then these last two will change to 20 and 21.
That looks like a total of $177,000, Lean. I thought we talked about $197,000 earlier today.
Is it because
Was I off on my addition earlier?
No, I moved the 15,000, that is, let me check here.
No,
We have
we
Article
had
8 is
moved
14.
It was Woody's vehicles coming from his capital. You thought we were never gonna raise in taxes, if not, it was coming
Article
from your.
8 is 14.
I was
Article
off
9
20,000.
is 15. These numbers are wrong because we've changed them. Article 10 is 20,000, which is now 15. There it is. Oh, I have to, no, that's my computers. That's missing from my article.
Yeah, I'm off, cause you had 20,000 more, remember?
I'm missing the one article for the computers.
Okay, so it is 197,000, I thought I was,
Yeah.
cause our math would have all been off otherwise.
Yeah, that was a new article, and I don't know where it went to, so I have to add
That's our computer, remember, like
the
the
computers,
20,000.
which I absolutely need, so Article 10 is computers.
I'm good with taking it off if you want.
No.
We'll have to shut our doors. And then
No, we'll just buy the upgrade.
Pencils and paper.
That's only for security, that's not for, other software that won't be compatible with it.
You want me to tell you which article it was, Lean?
It was number 10, right?
No, that's 50,000.
Oh,
14.
number 11?
It is 11.
But now it's going to be 10 because we
To see if the
deleted.
town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 for the purpose of purchasing new computer equipment and installations.
Yep, and I know I have it in the minutes.
6% impact, so Article
6 cents,
11.
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, our numbers are correct, Lean,
Yep, yep,
Just the
because they
work with it.
included that 20,000, which is good.
okay.
And that, the small impact we made, the top clerk, is don't pay that,
Correct.
okay?
All right, so I have a couple more changes to make with the warrant. The summary sheet of the operating budget.
Are we signing this warrant next week?
First, we'll have the public hearing and listen to the voters, and if there are any
And then we'll
changes,
do our votes?
then you'll vote on it, and then that will allow me to print a final version with the MS 636, and that will come, I'll have like a week and a half to finalize that and get it so that we post it, legally with the amount of time that's required. So under your summary sheet, the very top section with the yellow, primarily the, top left is 2019's budget, 2019's actual, the surplus, in the third column, and then the 2020 proposed budget at $2,658,042, which will get, amended by $160, with a difference of an $111,002, and last week the board voted to use the surplus. We have expense lapsing of $182,931, we have excess revenue, based on what we projected, of $155, so we have a fund balance surplus of $338,088. The board approved $111,002, which leaves us with $226,986. The board also discussed keeping 25,000 of that 300 in the surplus so that we can increase and get closer to that 5%. And then Article 18, which might have changed the numbers, was for the police department warrant article. So that leaves us with 200,986 of possible surplus for the board to use. So Dave asked me.
Just one point I wanna make is
Yep.
that 111,102, we had made a motion to use that out of that surplus.
Correct,
That will include the change that we made tonight when you refine the
there'll be a
numbers.
small change, yeah,
Yes.
$160, yeah,
Because it was to flatten that number out to
Yep,
0, so I
yep.
wanna make sure you include that.
160, yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basically it brings you down to the operating budget, 2020 budget for $2,658,042, less the surplus you approved last week. We also, agreed on a projected revenues for 2020, which is, you deduct that from your expense total. So, what that number leaves is $1,404,992. That needs to be raised from taxes, and that is the equivalent of $4.46. Then it's followed down below with the warrant articles from taxes. That brings the total amount to $5.08 if we only stay with what you approved last week. And then Dave, you asked me to, work some magic and break out what the tax rate with the articles and the operating budget would be if we use additional surplus.
I don't have that page.
You do,
It's on the front.
It's on the front,
So down below, it says, using an additional 100,000,
estimated.
Oh,
the,
okay. I didn't have these backup pages, okay.
using additional $100,000, we bring the operating budget and the warrants down to $4.46. So that would change that 111 to 211 and change. Using an additional 150 would bring the operating budget and the warrants down to $4.60 for the municipal tax rate. And then using an additional 197, which is the total of all the warrants that we have here tonight that have tax rate impact, from that additional surplus of $200,000 would bring it down to $4.46. And the bottom line is what we set our budget at, or tax rate at, $4.60 for the 2019 municipal tax rate only. We don't have control over the state school, the local school, or the county.
that's, yeah, that's less than 20% of our total tax rate we have control over.
Right, but this part here is the first time we'll ever be able to, first time since I've been on the board, that we'll be able to pay for all of the warrant articles out of our surplus, and or excess revenues, and also, keep the budget flat with last year with that same amount of money, so. I'm recommending using the $197,000 to our tax rate.
And that would leave
4.46.
how much, and that would bring us,
That would keep our
325,
DRA at 5%, because we're putting 25,000 in there, and that would leave us about $4,000
Yeah.
left over.
I don't know that we would be at that 5% because our budget has increased. And
It'd be
she
very
would-
close, cause
very, yeah.
we rounded it up, Lean, it was
Yeah.
not quite 25, and we
Yeah.
rounded it up.
Yeah. So using 150 would actually keep it flat, using 197 would decrease the municipal rate, tax rate.
That's what I'd like to do. We have the money there with the way we've managed this town government, so.
And the thing is, you know, we had a huge maintenance line this year, which we didn't execute on, we're asking for a similar amount of money this year. I have no problems with returning money to the taxpayer, because we did, due to multiple circumstances, we have had issues.
Yeah,
And
and
so-
we had expected to use more of that money than we did, so,
The thing is, I would rather give it back to the taxpayers.
yeah.
So can I make a recommendation? There's two ways to use this surplus. You can either do nothing with the warrants, show them as they are for the tax rate impact, and then in October, you can apply 197,000 from surplus to the, reducing the municipal tax rate, or you can have me change every article here and add the language that says the funds
That's
come
what I
from
would like
surplus.
to do.
I think that is unfair, because it's not fair to the voter. The voter's gotta see each warrant, how much each warrant costs. I'm not,
But we can put out a separate sheet, Mike, that shows them the tax impact, but we actually have this paper right here that we can use and put on the microscan if we want to, so
Right.
they know their impact.
but am I sitting in the audience, I'm gonna see this, I'm gonna see like, fire department, well, I know I have to pay like 13 cents. If I have 0 there, I'm gonna vote for everything because it's 0, but in reality, it does cost. And the thing is, what we're doing is hiding the cost to the voter. I don't think we're not being, completely visible.
I don't see any problem with telling the voters that it's gonna cost 13 cents for that line.
You're right.
We're not hiding that cost when we show them 0, cause we have the money to pay for that.
Oh, right, I think at the end, I don't mind at the end if we just put at the end that these warrants will be offset
It
by.
has to be written on each one, like she said.
You either have to
Yeah.
write it, where it's
But what
coming
we can do,
from.
Mike, is provide a
From
worksheet when
surplus.
they come in,
Yeah,
where they can show what the warrant articles would cost each,
all right.
so they
all right.
know.
I just don't want the estimated tax impact, to be, it would be 13 cents, but
Right, I
there's no
agree with
free
you.
lunch, there's no free lunch.
I agree with you, they should know about it, but we are using the money and giving it back to them right now, not
Right.
waiting till October.
Well, we could wait till October, it's still the same tax year, so Bob, what do you think?
Well, it could be either way, but it probably is nice to let them know that it's gonna be covered from surplus.
But
I would think that you're hiding it worse by waiting till October, because you're gonna be in the meeting, they've got a
Right.
proposed tax
As
rate.
long as-
And we're gonna tell them, we're not gonna show it to you guys today, but in October, we're gonna take care of
But the
it.
thing is, estimated tax rate impact, if we have, where's that 5 cents, is that still gonna be on there?
No, it's gonna go to 0.
See, that's
Because that comes from
not fair,
surplus.
that's not fair to the voters, I mean, the voters should know how much each warrant.
That would be
Mike, look
your
at your other
job.
warrant articles, see the ones that are at 0 already.
Right, some of them are at 0 already.
They don't know what those ones are.
No, because there's no
That's
impact.
not free money.
But it is, like, we pay, every year we pay into a capital reserve fund, there's no impact because he's taken out of the capital reserve fund.
Okay, and what we're using is, we're using another reserve fund to pay for it, to bring it to 0.
Which is the surplus.
Which is a surplus.
Okay,
So-
Follow me?
I do.
So-
So you're using a different reserve fund, but they're all coming to 0.
Okay, instead of,
So if you say the money's coming from surplus, they know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
that would be
They
fine.
can still
That's
decide,
exactly
That's how it
Okay.
has to be
they
written
can
there.
still decide if
To not
they
do
wanna
it.
spend the 13 cents or not.
Yeah,
Okay,
So-
I just don't want it to be,
The way the warrant article has to be written is it has to say that it's coming from surplus,
Surplus,
and
yeah.
you need to explain to the taxpayer that
it's costing
if we
13
had,
cents
this
or
would
5
normally
cents.
be 13 cents to
Perfect.
your tax
Okay.
rate, but
And we'll do that on
because
each line. item.
exactly, as long as we can talk to
you
it.
have to talk to it that way.
Because I just don't
It'd
wanna
be the same
deceive
thing.
the public thinking that, everything's free. And then next year they come back, well, why, we have ignorant people out there sometimes. And the thing is, they're gonna say, we paid nothing last year, why are we paying all this money this year?
But we have a lot of people coming into the office today saying that their banks are increasing their escrows, they're off the chart.
Well, the thing
It's
is,
just really, they're
Okay.
struggling, so
What-
this
what-
will be
yeah.
a real plus.
Cause they haven't seen the downside of that blip that we had.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay. I don't know, I want a comment from anyone in the audience, the thing is,
Well, I agree with you, Mike, but if you're gonna speak to every article
then we're
and
fine.
explain that what the cost would have been, you know, and explain right away that you took the money in taxes last year, unforeseen, you couldn't use it, and you're bringing it back to, giving it back to the body, that's a different story.
I
But
think
if
that,
you leave
it sounds good
If
too.
you leave that blank, I think that's wrong.
No, it will say that it's from surplus, but you
Yeah.
should explain.
Yeah, because this
Why?
from surplus,
And we gotta, I think we should
Right.
take the time to explain.
I like the idea
Cost.
that the taxes go down and putting it towards the
Yeah.
tax, I understand that, but people should know what it should cost. That's, you know,
Yeah.
it just makes sense.
I mean, I could present and clean this up, so it's a little bit easier to understand, just leaving the articles there with the tax rate impact, so that when you're speaking on it, if you
That
have
would,
something to
that would
look
be,
at.
that'd be helpful
that
to
would-
us.
Yeah,
Okay, then I think we have consensus.
Okay.
you wanna make a motion to use
I'd like to make a
surplus?
motion to use an additional $197,000 of surplus monies to pay for all,
idea, and you're gonna make the motion?
to pay for all, in a second, to pay for all and any motions that are passed by the voters.
What did your last sentence say? I think you were wrong.
To pay for all and any
Warrant articles.
warrant articles
There you go.
passed by the
There
voters.
you go.
Okay. Supposed to do this during flu season.
Second, that's a way,
I'll second Mike's motion.
any further discussion? I just wanna say, I just wanna make sure that we don't deceive the voters into saying this is a free
No,
lunch.
That's the process to use, to say money's coming from a surplus underneath each warrant article, so that they
To
understand.
me, you're deceiving the voters worse if you wait till October.
Okay, we're in agreement, but we're gonna do a good job in explaining to the voters. Thank you, Jim. Okay, all in favor? We're good.
Now, just to go back to that, not as part of the discussion, but by them seeing what it costs, they can still determine whether they wanna pass the warrant article or not,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Bob.
Cause you're gonna have a group that's gonna wanna
Not pass anything.
not pass anything, and hope to get it all back as it went fall.
They're gonna have trouble arguing up there this year, Leo. They're gonna have trouble arguing with the warrant articles this year.
And the thing is,
Only people.
maybe we can park the Crown Vic outside to show them how nice of a police vehicle we're replacing.
Look, the visual, little show and tell. I didn't hear milfoil. Did I miss milfoil?
Milfoil is a, don't go there, don't go there. Milfoil is a good year, we're having a good year with milfoil.
Yeah,
Okay, what's the next agenda? Chief is not here, so, I think we can, go to town business then.
I think I can speak on his behalf if you'd like.
Well, it's in
I-
town, it's in town business.
Yeah,
I
I
was
did
gonna-
put a copy of the quote. Chief wanted the board to be prepared that in the event, this is a maintenance item that he does not have in his budget, it is the school generators, maintenance, which we're responsible for. The quote he got is from a company that provides the,
It's basically,
two
essentially,
inspections, it's,
Is the second page of the quote just the work that's required if they don't do it in?
no, that's the town, that's the fire department one.
there's two generators.
There's two generators there, but one of them is substantial, but what he is thinking about doing is he's gonna get a quote from a company to find out if they can shut it down, disconnect it, and bring it to a shop to get it fixed, if it will be cheaper. So that's the going price for somebody to come out, replace all the parts that need to be replaced. And it's something that we need, and he thinks personally that it's a little bit high.
It looks like it needs a new radiator, the coolant's leaking.
Yep,
It's more of an FYI.
It does seem awfully high, $6,600
yeah, it's
to
almost,
redo a radiator. on
it's
that.
almost cheaper to buy a new one. I don't know what the new ones go for, but,
Oh, no,
No,
these are
that's-
big, big
that's-
oh,
generators.
those are big, they're like
Couple hundred
30,
thousand
Yeah,
dollars.
that's cheap.
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, these are several $100,000, these are closed units, but
That's the price of almost 20K.
Really?
I would think with that dollar amount that we should get some other quotes on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they tell him we'll support him, but I think he's gotta get some better quotes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We got a update from the building and building planning and zoning. Just, I want you to make sure you read the Botnick situation, it's hopefully coming to a conclusion. Solar panel, just, again, we got a big goose egg, even Woody, confirmed that we have a goose egg from the company, so we need to get, again, another email to the coordinator to say what's going on with the solar panels. We're now 30 days beyond the due date.
I did send him an email the last time this was discussed.
Didn't I, when I came in this week, didn't we talk about sending an email out? We sent
Yeah,
it
and I
out.
always CC Dana, and then I usually CC you, so that one of you guys are aware that there is communication going on between,
Nothing new.
and he hasn't responded back, but, I thought they were there last Friday, were they weren't there last Friday? I thought
It's
you were.
been a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I haven't heard a word from them.
Okay, we got some legal counsel regarding a request that Woody made, we're trying to gather some information on which way the town's gonna go. Woody, if you can talk to that, we can have it as a show of hands in the town meeting session, and we can get a flavor, and it could be a non-binding advisory.
Why don't you, just so the public knows, why don't you
Okay.
explain what he's trying to do, so that,
Okay, what he's trying to, essentially, get some information, if, survey, he wanted to get a survey and start initiated. Are we in favor of mandatory recycling, yes or no? And are you in favor of pay-as-you-throw recycling program? You gotta be able to explain those programs and succinctly, quickly, and we're just gonna ask for a up or down vote, just to get a flavor for it. If you're prepared to do that, or we can do it for you if you help educate us more.
Yeah, and that would be discussed at the Article 20, where it says to hear the reports of agents, auditors, committees, and other officers heretofore chosen, and pass any vote related.
That's not
thereto.
really a vote, that's more of
But that's just a,
a flavor, which way we're heading.
The other way we can do, I mean, by the time that meeting is, I mean, it looks like it's gonna be fairly lengthy. I don't think you're gonna have a lot of people hanging around.
That's the
The other
risk.
option is
I'll be
I
there.
could come up with a mailer and mail something out, or have Linda put something in with her registration, I just wanna get a feel. Cause we're gonna have to do something,
I'm with you.
and just try and get a feel
yeah,
in, like on a.
when do you
not
think
gonna
we're
get
gonna have to do
everybody there.
something?
Well, at some point, you gotta get your numbers up, because your trash is never gonna go down cost-wise. And if you don't pull some more material out of there, your trash numbers are gonna get to the point where it's gonna scare you. So if we can pull more material and get people to either mandatory, you pull the material.
So the
out.
recycling costs, but it costs less than the normal trash.
Yes, and some of it, I mean, like I told you before, the markets are in the lull, they're coming back, but this happens, you know?
Woody, I'm gonna say, we'll work with you
Yeah.
to come up with a solution. But
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, while you're filling out your, okay, this person for selectmen down the bottom, okay, yeah. You know, but
The
if,
thing is, you're thinking out of the box, and I give you kudos and thumbs up.
we could come up with another, and it's not like, we gotta make a decision tomorrow, I
Yeah,
gotta
but-
have answers
yeah,
tomorrow,
but-
I'm just trying to,
Get some information.
Yep.
And I'm
so
with
we
you.
can do another time, not a big issue.
so can I just speak on that just
Sure.
briefly? If, with those simple questions, if you gave me the option to say yes or no, do I wanna pay as I go? I would say no. But if you educate them to
Right.
say, if
That
you
goes-
don't recycle properly, then the board or the town will be forced to go in that direction, and this is why. So I
Oh,
think
no,
we need to
there's gotta be some
educate
education.
people.
Right, no, I was just looking for,
Yeah.
you know, kind of a,
Okay, I'm gonna table it for now,
Yeah.
and call it work in
Absolutely.
progress. We'll continue to work with you.
yep, that's no
And
problem.
then you can let us know if we
Fair
wanna
enough.
speak on that as a question.
I think,
Well-
I think maybe, next year, maybe we do a slide presentation to show some graphs on what it might cost them if we don't look at recycling heavier, and that the recycling.
Yeah.
A lot of people are deceived, because even I am, you know, we're paying these bills to recycle material. And, you know, they come to us every month, and you're wondering, you know, is this recycling worth it? A
Right.
lot of people are getting to the understanding now, when you get those dips in the market and you're not getting much for your recycling, is it really worth it? And so that's what's coming around and happening in town, so it's part of a little education, we might need a little slideshow or a overhead projection thing, so they can see it and grasp it a little bit better.
At the beginning of the meeting, rather than at the end.
The other thing too, though, there's been a lot of articles in the paper about Bo not wanting to recycle at all because it wasn't worth it.
Well,
But
that
we
was,
are ahead of the game because
It's so
we
worth it.
recycle.
That was a
Lean, you're
decision
looking
that
at
was-
it, you're looking at it from a dollar and cents on what we get when we recycle
Yeah,
material,
yeah.
which it costs us, and then we get some money back.
Right,
But what they're looking at, when you take the trucks and the infrastructure and the vehicles
and it's
and the
contamination
employees
of
that
the,
are needed to be recycling, if you could eliminate that, What they're saying is dollars and cents wise, it makes less sense for them to recycle, is probably what they're looking at.
Cause they have trash pickups.
Right, yeah, you're not comparing apples to apples, they're a curbside single stream, we're
Yeah.
a source separated, so you
Right.
kinda gotta. And
Right,
the other thing that's happened, so we don't drag this out, is a lot of the articles you're seeing in the paper are based off from curbside pickup towns,
Yeah, yeah.
single stream towns,
Yeah.
who have been fighting the markets from pretty much day one. They're the ones that are, oh man, we're not doing glass no more. That's because their hauler that's picking up their recycling doesn't want it anymore, doesn't want this, doesn't
Now, one
want
thing that
that.
may work good in this town is, in that small paper, maybe put a couple of paragraphs, a couple of times
that's a
this
great
year's,
idea.
in reference to this, and show how, you know, it is a savings to the town by recycling.
Yeah,
And if we do that 2 or 3 times this year, by next year at town meeting,
Yeah,
it
that's
might
a
be
great
something
idea.
that we can vote on.
The other thing I'm hoping is Lean will get her new website this year and we'll be able to put some, which is needed, I mean,
Yeah.
it's really needed, but
it's
we
in the
can
budget,
put some more money out, I mean, not money, put some more information out there so
Information,
that,
yeah,
you know, cause people do visit the websites more than
yeah,
anything else.
You know, if they realize that by recycling, even though, you know, it's costing you less, even if you have to pay, it's costing you less
Right,
than it is to send it.
Maybe you have a booth at the Old Home Day. Thank
Have
you.
a couple of
yeah,
barrels there.
okay.
Have a couple of recycling barrels there.
There you go, bring up a bale. Let the kids.
Last thing is, I have something for Woody while you're up, littering on our town truck,
Working on it, the vendor is,
a few weeks.
Yeah.
Talk to the
limbo
chief,
right
talk to,
now.
talk to chief. He
yeah, I
may
might
have
actually
somebody.
have to because
Seriously,
the gentleman who did our last truck, he did a really excellent job of it, I'm really happy with it. I've contacted him like 7 times, and I don't know, he hasn't gotten back to me, and then I got some issues, so.
maybe talk to chief, I think chief has a lead.
Yeah,
Sure,
no, we
sure,
definitely wanna get it leaded and get it done up, and,
Okay. Thank you, Woody.
Okay.
Work in progress.
yeah, exactly.
And the lastly, the legal view was, I'm gonna say it, we were just talking about having, information at the, gathered information concerning veterans at the town clerk's office. One selectman was didn't think was right, well, he was right. We shouldn't be collecting information at the town
we
clerk.
should not,
Should not.
okay,
We recommended we do a self-addressed stamp envelope,
okay,
and so,
that'll
Kudos-
cost us, but that.
I recognize Dave for being, having a foresight.
Well, we checked before we did something and put papers there on the counter, and, it was recommended that we didn't do that, so.
Okay, I have something from Eversource,
Just about pruning in our neighborhoods,
okay, give that to,
conservation maybe,
no, I'd say
Jeff?
Jeff, yeah. In fact, there's a point of contact in here. I would say, can we put this on the website?
That's what I did last time, I scanned it and put it on the website.
Goes to you. All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna say I think I'm at my limit.
What'd you do with the paper clip?
I collect them, I take them home.
There you go.
I'm gonna put a public comment, Leo.
Okay, I'm back to what I asked earlier,
Yes, and I apologize, because it was the,
because Wiggins didn't come in.
yes, and so the thing is, we could speculate and give you an answer, but I don't wanna give you a speculative answer.
Well, okay, so it's leaking.
Yes, it is.
And
And so-
2 or 3 meetings ago, you said, or it was said that the contractor was, they tried to reach the contractor, but he wasn't responding.
Yeah.
And
that
that's
was me.
still the case?
I probably only sent them one email, but I'd have to follow up with another email.
Okay.
I've just got a bazillion emails in my inbox.
His work that he did on it was a minimal cost, and the thing is, I was
Yeah.
hopefully optimistic that would have worked. It hasn't. We budgeted heavily last year for a potential major repair.
Right.
We're re-budgeting this year for a potential major repair, because we don't want leaks there.
Can I just speak?
Go ahead.
When I started getting bids for the job, everyone that came and looked at it was like hands-off. Either they're a rubber company, they don't specialize on flat roofs. The fact that we have an uninsulated room to an insulated room was problematic. They wanted to insulate it, the uninsulated area, but they didn't realize that it's not gonna meet the snow load. There's they picked up on a lot of the problems that they could see inside that that's causing the temperature changes between the two buildings. At some point, I don't know if we have to just bite the bullet and change and build a whole new insulated building so that this stops happening, but, I mean, that building was donated and it's, doesn't meet code and it's partially insulated, and then we have that temperature change that causes, ice dams and melting, and
Was it donated or just voluntarily put up?
I think it was donated and moved, and then the volunteers put it up.
I'm just wondering if the, low cost, low weight thing would be spray foam. It's that section on the inside. So I think
Yeah, it may not be the only solution, we might have to, the roof might have to be strapped and, re-metaled. The metal on it is very old and fragile and, where all the roofs come
So-
together, made it's all cracked up.
And originally, that's what we were hoping, without having to go and replace the whole roof. They said that replacing the whole roof would not solve the problem without fixing the insulation problem first.
So I'm gonna leave it as a work in progress, we're not there yet,
Okay.
and, so, no good answer yet.
Okay.
And from what John Wigan has told me, the reason they don't insulate that roof is because that building in its age was not designed for the loads that we have in the current code, so they want that heat to actually melt the snow and get it
Yeah, right.
off the roof.
Right.
So, by doing anything with insulation, we're kind of going against what
Yeah,
He
like the
thinks-
design of the building.
the design of the building will handle, so we're in kind of a catch-22.
I'm just curious.
Oh, we are too.
I'm hoping we can look at it and try the patch one more time and see if that works.
Well, I guess what I was thinking was, I know the contractor you used very well. I
Yeah.
could talk to him if you guys would want me to.
It'd be fine for, if you
Yeah.
wanted to stop by and see him.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know where he's working now, so
Yeah,
for
I
the next
know where
week
he's
or so, so.
Yeah, yeah, I know where he is, yeah.
Yeah, if you want, Leo, stop by and give us an update next
Yeah.
week.
Thing is, it's hard to do anything at this time of the year, and
Well,
But
I guess
the thing is-
my point was that if he's not responding to your
Yeah.
inquiries, then that sounds like he's just blowing you off, you know?
no, I like to think
And
not.
So, right, and me too, because
Yeah.
again, I know him very well and I really,
You know,
If
people
he's
get busy and
reputable.
even if they have good intentions, when you get home late, you think the offices are closed, so they don't respond and all that,
well,
so.
email is always. okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would hurt for concerned
Yeah,
citizens
yeah,
to stop
I'll
by and
talk
see
to
him.
him, sure, okay.
Okay,
I
anything
just
else?
wanted to know first before I went
Yeah.
ahead and talked.
And the thing is, we don't know fully from what John can report, he's the first-hand information.
Mhm,
I was gonna rely on Woody, but Woody's only there part-time.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Okay. You're on, guys, or later on?
Yeah.
Okay, Woody, up to you, okay? Back to the board, David, I'll talk to you first.
I'm good, Mike, I think we've covered everything I had.
Bob, to you.
Well, you know, one of the things is, with the town clerk, there's a lot of materials stored in her vault that they did, they had people go through it and see what was pertinent to the town, what wasn't. So they did an inventory, and they have things that could be cleaned out, and I don't know if they've decided to do anything there and clean it out, or,
What was that on?
well, all the material that's given to the town clerk that's put in her vault, there's a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with the town itself that have been given. And they did an inventory, so they have a list of, there's quite a bit, right?
Yep.
What Don had done,
Yeah, I
So-
went through the list, there's a lot of stuff that could
there's a
come
lot
up
of
that
stuff
has
that
nothing to
doesn't
do
even
with
have
the
to
town
be there.
whatsoever.
Can you give us an example of what kind of stuff?
Empty boxes, books, just novels, you know, that aren't about Dunbarton, they're just about a novel somebody put up in there. He donated it to the town or gave it to the town. As Donna and I were talking, what happens is people, you get rid of it and then people think they bring it back. And things just keep coming back to the,
it's in her,
Fireproof?
in
her safe.
in the safe, yeah.
Whatever you wanna
Yeah.
call it,
Yeah.
vault safe.
The vault,
I would
yeah.
think that if the town clerk and Donna,
Would wanna-
So they were hoping to get some volunteers to help and just
Well,
clean it up.
they have volunteers, they need the approval.
that's what I was about to say, if the town clerk and Donna don't think that they're anything to do with the town, if they're like, you know, from, or part of some other town, or nothing at all to do with our town.
Right,
If it has anything at all to do with our town, I think, I wanna make sure we keep
Oh,
it.
yeah, no.
and just wanted to bring it to our attention that, you know, hopefully they're working towards that. to get it cleaned out, so
Well,
that
what it is, Dave,
it
is
gives
that
her more room to
there's, yeah,
store stuff.
exactly, there's no more room in there, everything's jammed in all the vault and then all of the Linda's, you know, fireproof cabinets or whatever they are. They're loaded with stuff, and a lot of it doesn't need to be there, would make room, and rather than having to get another fireproof safe, you
Just
know.
to clean up what we have.
Yeah, cause
I
I've
don't
got
have any
a,
problem
I've got a
with that.
packet of, I think, 20 pages of the stuff that's in there, and I went through it, and a lot of it is like,
Yeah.
and it was, when they inventoried it, back years ago, a few years back, they made note of all the things that could be deassessed that had nothing to do with the town.
Well-
Some things were, maybe, it was up to you guys and up to Linda, you know.
I think
It's,
Linda is a member of our historical committee, and the thing is, and we have Linda as the town clerk. I think the two can decide, trash, library, and just to retain.
Right,
And the
right.
thing is, just start with those three.
But again, we, you know,
They want some
we
guidance.
wanna work with doing it, we have people that wanna work doing it with them,
Yeah.
but,
See,
no, it's not, they need permission.
Well, what we're doing is, what I'm saying is, I think we have to do that.
Consensus.
Yeah,
Well,
consensus.
see, I didn't know the process, I don't know, cause it's turned into the town clerk.
Yeah,
If the town clerk has the authority, or if the select board has the authority. But I know that,
yeah.
you know, the Donna Dunn's brought it up again,
Oh, yeah.
that there's a ton of stuff to be moved, and they have some volunteers, but
Want to get Linda?
we're not going in any
Is Linda still
direction.
It looks like she's still there. Looks like she's still
No,
there.
I mean,
Consensus.
if you want space to store the stuff that's pertinent to Dunbar,
That's one
you
thing.
need to clean out that safe and give them the room that they
I don't
need.
have any issue with that.
No, I just think we put on a record.
We don't have a basement that we can use for
No, but even,
added
why,
storage, so
why
we're
even move
really
it,
tight on space.
why even move junk that doesn't pertain?
Yeah.
I think it should go to the
There are
surplus.
things that are like have no business
Yeah.
being in there, they just got stored there, you know,
Yeah.
and then they stayed there forever.
Take the novels to the library.
That's what I'm saying. And they can sell them off at the book sale in the morning, at Old Home Day again. And if they don't like it, it can go to Woody.
Usually does.
Linda, come on up
I've
here.
been summoned, hi.
We need consensus, and we want your consensus too.
Sure.
Your filing cabinets are in need of being, shall I say,
Purged.
purged.
No, they're talking about the historical.
Stuff that's in there that has nothing to do with Dunbarton.
Is,
The Hadley Tucker and all the other collections, right?
no,
No, in the vault.
Oh, in the vault, yes.
Right,
You are really making me change gears today.
yeah. in the vault.
Then what's happened is, you know, remember they did an inventory, and there's a lot of stuff that's not even pertinent to Dunbar.
There's some huge
And-
Bibles in there that take up great
So,
amount of space.
you know,
yes.
Donna Dunn has some volunteers that would like to come in and purge all of that out
Work
of
with
there.
you, work with
But
you.
we don't know what direction, whether it's with your authority, with our authority, I don't know what the process is.
I believe my authority rests strictly with Dunbarton related items. So my
So we-
suggestion would be, we do have a copy of that vault inventory. And remember, was it 2007
Yes, I believe
that
that's.
we had done that?
I gotta-
Yeah, I have a copy at home, actually.
Yeah, I have a copy somewhere on my computer.
Yeah, I looked at the one, I've got the copy you gave me at home, and I looked at it, there's so much stuff that could come right out of there that would give people more room to,
And
But
we
like, are the
can,
Bibles of historic people in town, like, from the Hadleys or
I
anything
think-
like that?
Didn't Donna, no, the Bibles, the Bibles, I think that Donna went through them, probably page by page, knowing Donna.
Yeah, right.
And if anybody could find
Any connection?
one strand of DNA from a Dunbarton
Yeah.
resident, Donna would have found it.
And
So my
we'll-
suggestion would be, let's take that initial list that we have.
Mhm.
There was a column marked for deaccession.
Mhm.
Let's start,
That was my point.
let's
Start
start
with
with
that.
that
Yeah.
and take it from there.
Right.
Obviously, I don't have the time this year to really do that vault inventory
No,
that
but-
needs to be done.
But the thing is, it would, at least if they did some, it would give you some room.
Just taking just those items out, we
That's-
can do that. I know there are books there that are supposed to go to the library. Once again, it's a time constraint that,
Right, and Woody's ready to receive them from the library too.
right, and I would
So-
And I would rather it not be done without my oversight, just in case.
Absolutely.
As much as I'd love to have Donna and people come in and do it.
But it's gotta be at a low time, and not, it can't be at election time, for example.
Which is 4 times this year.
Right. But the thing is, that's one of our goals this year, we just wanna make sure you're chimed in on this.
I agree. And we are gonna need a lot more storage space, I can tell you right off the bat, just the ballots from the elections. We are required to retain for 22 months after the election for
The upstairs is still looking pretty good over there.
But Linda,
No, it is.
you could utilize those people to take the items out that you have on that sheet.
And then just have me check them off.
You got it.
That's right.
That's perfect.
Let them do some legwork, and then you just look at the items,
That's a great
check them
idea.
off, and then it's done with.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting down and trying to do it with them, let them do some of the legwork if they're willing to do
Yeah.
it for you.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
that
a
would
super
give
idea.
you some room.
Yeah.
So I guess you'd have to get in touch with Donna.
Yeah.
She's the driving force on
But there's
it.
consensus with the select board. One thing I didn't like, that this Office of Planning and Zoning was purged before we had our final person in there now. And I think that there were plans thrown out
I think
that
a robot, yes.
were of subdivisions that never went through, but also gave us background on what had happened to those properties earlier that were nice to reference back to, and a lot of stuff got thrown out of there, and I don't think it should have,
I agree.
but that was before.
That's
my
why
time.
we just wanted to make sure that you're on board with
I
this.
think that's a super idea, and I would certainly
Now,
welcome.
you have a list, you said. You could actually maybe even, if you have a
Highlight.
minute, go highlight
The-
that some things that you really want us to look at, and then Donna would make sure that you,
Anything that was
Or
marked
what?
for deaccession, I would, the people who put that together are so well in tune
yeah, right.
with what
exactly.
needs to be done, I
Yeah.
wouldn't even second guess their
Who did
recommendation.
that list?
That was,
Rolks.
myself, Donna, Bill
Bill,
and Rebecca Roll,
yeah, Roll.
and Bud Noyce.
Okay.
We came in every weekend for months, and we did a total inventory of that vault. Unfortunately, that was a long time ago. Things have been moved around in the vault, so
But it's coming to a point where you understand that you're being overwhelmed with too much junk in there.
right.
Is that inventory of the vault in my office or in your
Her fire safes.
fire safes?
No,
Or the
it's
vault?
it's the inventory of the vault in the selectmen's office.
Okay,
Yeah, the big
that's
vault.
what
The
she's
big,
talking about.
the big
Yeah.
vault with the
Yeah,
That
things
would give- that would
unfortunately been moved around.
Facilitate more.
That would be
movement.
great.
We'll leave all the money there.
I wouldn't want you to get your hopes up, as far as how much is actually gonna go.
Well,
But even if it's a couple of shelves, it's a couple
Yeah,
of shelves and it's a
there's a
start.
good little list of things there.
Yeah,
on there,
it's a
so.
start.
okay, just wanted to make sure you were not left without knowledge.
And maybe, Linda, if you give us a heads up, we can come in as a select board, take a look at the stuff too, actually, before it's thrown.
I mean, from the historical stuff, you know, I could make a good decision, but as I recall, there were lots of like, payroll stubs or
Yeah.
check
Yeah,
stubs
we
and
don't
stuff
need
that
to
are,
keep those.
Way
things.
back.
that, from way too far back, and
Check
those
stuff
took
from
up
way
a,
back,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
checks from way back
you know,
that
things like that.
I don't have any
And as,
authority over, but
as you said, Donna won't let anything leave if she thinks it, if
One
there's
straight
any
at the DNA.
connection, any
Yeah.
minor
Yeah.
connection.
But it's nice to have two people looking at it first.
We do have the document retention too form, that is very clear as to what we need to keep.
But the thing
well,
is,
that's very clear, but then there are other things that aren't on the document retention form that actually have far more historical value
Yeah,
than the actual documents themselves. Some of those, books that are in there that mention Dunbarton residents, I can't think of any of the books offhand, but
Yeah,
probably
right,
with
me
the
either, but
military
it-
list.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Right, there are
that-
things that
I
have,
was amazed at all of the useless things that was tucked up in there.
right, but then there are some things that we're not required to retain,
Yeah.
but they've got 1 or 2 pages of incredibly significant
Woody
information for us.
has volunteered to come up with this truck to help pick up any surplus paper.
I've got a
Thank
box
you.
that's going to the shredder now, but
Okay.
But I guess a good idea.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Appreciate your input there.
Thank you for asking.
Okay, Bob, it's still up to you.
No, I'm all set.
Okay, Lean, that's town administrator.
my head is spinning, I've
Okay.
had enough for tonight.
All right, I make a motion that we go into non-public for RSA 91 dash alpha